And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster. I'm touching base with you as we always do. Holy moly, what a night last night. We all had we had I want to say thank you to all of the folks that joined me last night for our debate uh a debate party, if you want to call it, watch party. Man, I mean, so many people have so many ideas, so many thoughts. It's always good to be in a community to hear what others are thinking. And that's what's so beautiful about having community because you learn. You learn. You cannot walk away from community and not learn something. And so today we're going to talk about the debate, and we're going to try to get some focus Friday stuff in, as in what we usually do is focus on accounts, Instagram accounts, and YouTube accounts that bless, inspire, and encourage. But I think today we have a lot to talk about when it comes to what we saw yesterday. So we might not get to our favorite IGs, but we are going to definitely have a good conversation. And we're going to have folks that may want to pop on. I'm going to send some invitations out right now to folks that I would love to be on the panel. And we can just chat it up and if you want to come on, let me know, and then we can find some way to send you an invite to be on and chat it up from yesterday's debate. It is on fire. It is what's trending. It is what's going on right now. Everywhere, every news program is talking about what happened last night at the debates. And so, with, I mean, it was bad. It was bad for the Democrats. It was bad for Biden. And most of all, it was bad for the United States of America. It was bad for us as a country. And how did we get here as a country? How did we get here where so much is on the line? And then we have these two candidates that one is a good man. Technically, I mean, you could say a good man with a good heart wants to save the country. And then you have another person that is absolutely rude. Nothing that you would want your child to be. But yet, there are people willing to put him in office. The country is split. The country has 50-50, just small margins of who they're going to vote for. Some people were little people were swayed in some of the panel discussions last night and this morning, but we really have to look at where we're going as a country. And if that did not put the fear of God in you last night, I don't know what will, because what we saw last night was scary. Not only bad, it was scary. And this is just, I know this is my opinion, but I do look at a lot of commentators. I've been looking at commentators all morning. Last night, I didn't go to bed till probably 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then got up early this morning to continue to watch stuff and listen and just hear different points of views. Anyway, I'm sending these out. We can have several. We can have up to 10 people. We can have a 10-person conversation today on the panel. So I'm going to put it out there. Whoever wants to pop on, I'm going to just throw some folks up here, and then we're going to say some hellos. Okay, so I'm going to send these out to you guys, and these are regular folks. And obviously, you obviously see Chris is not here with us today. Chris is on vacation, and we miss you, Chris, because this would be a conversation. Chris would be like, man, if Chris was back, we would be like, he would have had me up early in the morning. We would have been chatting about this, but this was absolutely something else. Anyway, let's say some good mornings. Good morning, Hannah. It's so good to see you. Elise is in the building. Good morning. I sent you an invitation, Elise. Elise, good morning, says. And then we have Rashawn is in the building. Good morning and happy Friday, Ron and RLP family. G says, good morning, Miss G.R. Houston. Jack is in the building. And let's see, any others in there? Hey, I am Miss Reese is in the building. Good morning, RLP family. There we go. I like to get them all in. Kelly is in the building. Good morning, everyone, she says. And Felicia is in the building. She says, hey, family. And Paro is in the building. She says, grand rising. Good morning. Good morning. And Paro says, that performance was sad last night. Can I just exhale? G says, scary. I would say concerning and telling. The felon is doing his normal con man things and dodged all the questions. The other guy looked frail. Can we talk about that today? Can we talk about that today? Man. So it is obviously you guys are seeing in the news this morning. It is the Republicans are walking around saying, we did great. Trump did great. Trump did wonderful. Trump got his point of view. Trump did such and such. Let me just go there since I am an independent. I am not a Democrat or Republican. And it was sad to see the Republicans. The Republicans did not win. The Republicans did not win. There were no winners in last night's debate. Can I say that again? There were no winners in last night's debate. You had Trump, who never, can I say it again? Never answered any of the questions. Any of the questions. Every question they addressed to him, he did not respond with any honesty. They calculated that he lied. The lies that they pointed out, 35 main lies. Main lies. He just kept lying. He lied you know me. I was as we were watching it together. I was like, oh, another lie. The man never said anything. I'm gonna bring Elise on. Hey, Elise, what's going on? But he did not lie. He did not stop lying. And then for Tim Scott last night in the room, what do you call it, the spin room, to say that Trump was amazing, he did great, he stated the policy, he stated what we wanted, yada yada yada, was ridiculous. And every time I see Tim Scott, I think of my grandma taking her shoe and throwing it at someone. I mean, really, he needed to be smacked with a shoe with all the dishonesty in his responses. Welcome, Elise. How you doing? We missed you. We missed
Good
you.
morning.
Great.
I
Ooh,
had a guest.
fabulous this morning.
Look, I had a guest yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to even get online at that time.
Wow.
An out of town visitor came by, so
We miss you, and it's always good to see. How was your trip to Iowa?
my trip to Iowa was amazing. Had a fantastic time. 2 days full of art and meeting amazing people and seeing B. Robert Moore's amazing solo exhibit out there. You have to see it in person to feel the full impact of it. But it was amazing.
Wow.
2 days, 2 full days of music,
Did you get caught
studio
up in
time.
Did you get caught up in any of the rainstorms that we're having out there, or you missed it?
No, fortunately, it rained late at night or early in the morning, but I never got caught in the rain at all. It wasn't doing that. It was very humid though.
Ooh.
I was surprised at how humid it was.
Wow. So Elise,
yes,
you are an educator.
yes.
You're one that does a lot of reading, and I know you. Did you saw the debate last night?
I saw some of it because, it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming,
Ew.
and you hear the lies and you hear all of these things, and it's interesting, like reading the part about CNN and how they advise the moderators, right?
Yes.
So they weren't fact checking. I think that's they need to be able to fact check. They need to be able to come back. I know he came back with the question of the January 6th thing, but he still never answered the question.
Never.
But
Never answered any of the questions.
yeah, he never
Not
answered any of the
one
questions.
question.
Of course, we got to figure out what those black jobs are. But he never
It
answered
is.
anything. And I think with people looking at Biden, right? So you're looking at
Yes.
it, people like, oh, he's fragile, he's this and it. But what did he answer? What did he tell you? He did answer questions.
He did
So,
answer them.
and he did talk about, policy. But we have to think about what is it that when we want to debate, what are we looking for? And then,
Yes.
people, and it didn't, I have people who I know that are in the UK was like, oh man, what's going on? That's what's going on. And it's not just, people like, oh, the old guy or the light, that both of them are old. Trump is old.
Both are old.
Trump is not young. Trump is old. He's a liar. He's a con man. He's a convict. He's all those things.
And yet
So what? Go
people,
ahead.
there's still half the country that loves him, that wants him as president.
And then
That's
they
the
have to
scary
ask
part.
ourselves, why do they want him as president? Why do they want this particular man in there? And we still have to go back. We know what they want to happen in the country, right? So it's more of, let's use this person who we know is a clown
Yes.
so that we can get our agenda done.
That's
But
right.
at the same time, what people have to also remember is we have the House of Representatives that's up for re-election, and we need to make sure we don't let them control that House anymore because it's been useless. And then we also have 33 Senate seats. You got to make sure that you fight for all those things at the same time. Should
Yeah.
they have looked for someone else early on? That's a question to ask. And what at this point, what do you go from now? Where you move forward to? And honestly, I'm still going to vote blue. I'm going to do it because it's still our democracy or dictatorship, our freedom
That's
or
right.
dictatorship. And
At
and
the end of the
people
day.
and
Mm-hmm.
people have to believe what this man has told them he's going to do. He's going to do what he said he's going to do. He's going to do what he's mandated to do by those people who support him.
Yeah. It was just, I mean, does anyone, let me ask a question. First of all, how many people, I see some people that were here last night with us, so we were all here. How many people did not see the debate last night? That's a good question to ask. How many people did not see the debate or did see it in its entirety? And I know some people were like, I cannot watch. Dr. Tachi was in the building. She was like, I can't watch, but I'm in the room, but I can't watch. It was like, I don't want to see this bad accident. But
Now, I was in your room. You just didn't know I was there.
I was like, this is crazy. But
So
Trish
what
said
was
she
the
didn't
craziest
watch.
part for you? What was the craziest part for you?
The craziest part, there was so many. But the craziest part was Trump. I just couldn't get over not one. I don't know why I'm saying I couldn't. I just couldn't wrap my head around that not one answer was true.
Right.
Every single thing Trump said was a lie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not one, not two, not three. They counted 35, but every single thing he said was a lie.
Absolutely. Having been in DC at the time, I don't know if you all saw the news the same way we saw it on January 6th, because our news is really local and national. So we see a lot of stuff. So the part when as I said, unfortunately, they didn't go back and force him to tell the truth, right? They didn't go back.
Yes.
So when he says that part about Nancy Pelosi, if you go and look at that video, because I saw the video when they aired it the first time that he's talking about, she is in there frantically trying to get some help on the Capitol for the insurrection. She's also trying to make sure that the vice president is safe. She's telling him not to move. She's doing all the things, right? But yet he gets to say on public TV, "Oh, it was her fault." How is it her fault? And of course the lie about Mayor Bowser. So we knew here that not only did Mayor Bowser ask for the National Guard to be sent in, so did the state of Maryland, so did the state of Virginia. He refused. He refused for 3 hours.
Yes,
for 3 hours. And so they were allowed to run them up for 3 hours. Fortunately, there was some intel, and they knew that people were going to try to bring in weapons or things like that. And they found some things prior to that. But all of the things that he said, you can go and look at the videos and see it. You can see him and what he said on that day. There's that video of him saying what he said about the Proud Boys and stand back. All that stuff is a video. So regardless of what he said, not being able to go back and see that, those are the parts I said I was kind of in and out. So those are the parts that can be everything, all the lies that he told. You can find it. You can find him saying exactly what he said. And so the pieces on January 6th, and him not wanting to be held accountable for his actions is a disgrace. And the fact that you had no one challenging that as a moderator.
Yes. And can we talk about the moderators? Because this was a consensus this morning across different channels, different places, different people. And they were saying, how is it possible that you had a presidential debate and not once did the moderator say anything about his convictions?
Right.
How is he going to be president with those convictions? What he has done. First of all, one person said, he has not acknowledged that he lost the first election. Forget the second one. They asked, will he acknowledge the loss of the election if he lost? He has not acknowledged the first one. And how could they not start off with that as the number one question?
So one of the things I want to remind people of, CNN did some hiring. Remember that?
Yes.
One of the people they hired is a supporter of his. That was one of the biggest problems, one of the big problems they had. And recently the Washington Post has done the same thing. Bezos has done the same thing. So if you have them in there, are they going to ask about anything about his conviction? Are they going to ask about, I felt they should have asked about Project 2025.
And that was the other thing. People said, why wasn't Project 2025? They said, all of these subjects that are swirling in the news right now, especially in the last 2-3 weeks. And they did not ask about Project 2025. They did not ask about, they didn't ask about his convictions. They didn't ask about what some other things that he did. But they did not address Trump in all of the things that he has done and put him on the spot. The moderator's job. But then on top of that, and we'll hit Biden later, but that was really I think that was the most amazing part of the whole night, is that the moderators did not stop him when he was lying. And I have a two-side on that, because I also believe that it is your opponent that is supposed to fact check you. It is up to, and you're in a debate. When you are in a debate, your opponent is supposed to do enough homework to say, okay, no, this is the facts, yada, 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 and read it off. And what they said in the commentators, some of the coaches that were vaccine when it came to Biden, is that they spent the whole week giving him numbers and stats,
right?
And it tripped him up. They should have just let him be Biden.
Right.
They should just let him be off the cuff and just share.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think you
So
saw bits and pieces of that
yes.
of him, because whenever he put one of his things out there, you could see it. Like they are saying that he has the morals of an alley cat. That's Biden,
Yeah, an alley
right?
cat.
That's him. But even when he did do some rebuttal of what Trump said. Going back
Yes.
to saying, what happened. He did do some of that. But
Hmm.
like I said, if they're gonna, and I think he needs to make sure that whoever he has coaching him, if there is to be another
Hmm.
debate, the coaches need to. I've said this for a long time, and I say this when I talk to my son, because my son has an interesting way of thinking about things. What he needs is a bulldog to
Yes.
coach him. He doesn't need these people with the stats, right? He needs someone to say, you go in there and when these topics come up, what are your thoughts on these topics? And talk to him about those thoughts so that he has something to
Yes.
go back on. And so that he can raise some of the issues. Like he did raise
Yes.
some issues, but so that's a part of what needs to happen if there is to be another debate. But at the same time, do we have legitimate issues to think about? Absolutely, we do. But the
Yeah.
moderators, there are questions that relevant questions to him coming back into office that should have been posed. They should have
Yes.
put Project 2025 out there
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And but yeah, it was just, to me, it was so whew, it was wrenching to see. I felt so sorry for Biden, but I was angry with CNN for not sharing. First of all, stopping the lies. Two, um, and it felt sometimes that they were giving Trump more space. I don't know, but they say the timing was correct on both sides, but it felt like, they were saying that it felt like it was longer when, it felt like it was shorter time when it was with Biden, because Biden was stumbling so much in his answers, or trying to get his words out. Um, and they say he had a cold. I was like, man, of all days to have a cold when you can't really get your words out anyway on a regular day. So here's a question for the audience and the community. Um, go from here. Where does it? Well, I should say, where the Democrat Party? I mean, here's some of my things here. Um, since Here we go. Since the future is about the 2024, the 2024 election is about the future. Where do we, where do we go as a country? What do you guys think? How are you guys feeling? Because everyone has an opinion. I'm curious about what you guys have to say. But I was in Don Lemon's chat show last night, and man, the after party on that place was crazy. It was lots of great information. And but yeah, what do you guys feel about this, where we go as a country? And should they replace Biden?
I think it's trying to understand, if they do, how does that work? How do you get that person on all the ballots across the country at this point?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because that's the kid. I hear that, but that's the critical question. How does that person at this point get on all the ballots? Because the state of Ohio is threatening not to put Biden on the ballot because of when the Democratic convention takes place,
Exactly.
even though they waived that deadline twice for Republicans.
Yes.
But they're threatening to not have him on their ballot because of when the convention takes place. So how quickly do they have to act to try to do that? And at this point in time, what will it take to make sure that people are on the ballots?
Mm, yeah. That is but they said also, when they have the convention, what they can do is that at the convention, it only has happened, I think, once in 1954, where they have a free for all, and the person that was nominated loses his nomination, and the convention house says, "Okay, we're gonna go with someone else."
Right.
And then Trump, Biden
Biden.
can give his delegations,
Delegates. Mhm.
all his things to the new person that they pick.
Right.
And so it counts as him being, I guess, on the ballot in all these places, because it's
Right.
still, he's representing the Democrats, whoever that person may be.
Right.
Lisa has an interesting thought, and
Yeah, I saw that.
this is being swirled around. It's so funny because Lisa said this off the cuff last night, and when I got to Don Lemon's after I finished with our community, it swirled there too, and then I heard it again this morning. So now, Lisa, you're onto something. People were
Well,
saying
that.
Biden should step down
Mhm.
and should be giving it to Newsom. And then maybe also the VP would be Joffrey's. Or they could keep Kamala as the VP and
Mhm.
put Newsom on the top of the ticket.
Right. Actually, it's funny because my husband and I were talking about it before you came on, and I say, look, it may be time for them to bring Newsom out. I said it may have to dust about bring him out because he has been like a face on a lot of the ads and stuff. He's been in a lot of emails. He's been in a lot of it's coming from Gavin Newsom. So I could
And the
see that.
country knows who he is.
Yeah, they know
He's
who
not
he is.
someone that the country has to get to know. He's already been all over Fox. He's not afraid to go on Fox.
Right.
He's been on Fox with his debate against DeSantis, which he
Right.
cleaned up nicely.
Right.
It's a
And
thought.
so, yeah. So I mean, it's a thought. I'm sure that's a thought that people have. And so that's the
Lisa
thing.
says, no, start new,
Start
no
new, no
Kamala.
Kamala.
But see, that's the other difficult part, is that there are certain people, the base, there are a lot of Black folks that love Kamala. Now, there's some Black folks that don't like Kamala, for whatever reasons those are. But there are a lot of Black people that love Kamala. And what happens if you take a Black woman off the ticket and then put a Black man in her place?
Right, because your strongest base is out of Black women.
Yes, your
That's their
strongest base is
strongest
the
base.
Black women.
The strongest
That's
base
just
is Black women.
That's right.
Hands down. So you have to take that in consideration if you shove her out. Like you put her out, you got to take that in consideration.
Because she's not the one that's old and frail. She's
Right.
still doing her job. Why would you take her out? And what we all know, and this was on Roland last night. They had a long discussion that went so late into the night, which they were saying, okay, guys, let's all talk about the elephant in the room. All of this problem about Biden's age is because of Kamala being the VP.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because they don't want a woman president, one, and they definitely don't want a Black woman as president.
Okay.
And so these people have lost their minds because of the elephant in the room. Right. They would not be concerned about Biden's age if it wasn't for Kamala.
Right. And that's exactly why they're concerned, because they feel like he's not going to make it through the next 4 years, which means she'll become president if he's elected.
That's right.
And that's a fear. And I mean, my husband and I were also discussing the fact that when you look at men and how they vote for women, right? Why you couldn't put Kamala at the top, because you have Black men you have all types of men who will not vote for a woman, period. And you have those who aren't going to vote for a Black person, period. So she would never win as the top of the ticket.
No.
And that's just,
she could not win against Trump.
Right. She wouldn't win, because you have our own people. My husband always talks about listening to conversations after 2016 when there were older Black men on the bus saying, I couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton because she was a woman.
Yep.
His
And there's
principle.
and because a lot of Black people are more, the Black population is more conservative than the most whites
Right.
populations in America. And it is biblical teachings in most churches that we've all been taught, whether it be wrong or right, which I think is wrong, that women cannot be in leadership. We've been taught that in church, growing up in church, in the Black church, in the Black community, women should never lead.
Yeah, and that's one of the
that
issues with
has
my
been
church.
embedded in us as a country. Like someone said, they said America, again, is supposed to be the beacon of democracy, but most of the major countries in the world all have female presidents or prime ministers across the board. So they said not only is America racist, but America is sexist. And that would be a real bad problem. But if they put Kamala at the head of the ticket, or something happened to Biden in the next 6 months or 5 months, and she's put on, and she now becomes president.
Right. And so that's
the elephant in the room.
Right. And and my church, that I stick with this church because my husband likes it, because they know people, but they are antiquated in women not being pastors, but other Christian faiths, they can be pastors. They can lead the church. We have Vashti McKinney who leads the AME, but it is that old thinking. And that's why I make a big distinction between what's conservative and extremist. And I think we don't call the people who support Trump, I'll say his name this time, we don't call them what they are. They're extremists. They're not simply conservatives. They're extremists. So it's not about values for them. It's about it's simply about power control, and they do it through fear. Him bringing up Black jobs. He's going to border up and
they're stealing your jobs.
And he said Black jobs, and then he said Black and Hispanic jobs. First of all, who you talk about them because they're the one crossing the border. Now you talk about that, but the whole point of being able to, out of your mouth, you always just saying the Black jobs, all of this craziness that we're listening to, right? So that's to give the fear. That's still about trying to implant fear in Black communities, right? When it has nothing to do with that. And not being able to come back with the facts or refute the facts, and what jobs are we talking about? And so those are the issues that we have to pay attention to. And then we just have to start looking away from what the rhetoric that we hear, and understand that we are in a fight for freedom and democracy over dictatorship.
That's right.
So,
and Stephen said something here, though. Stephen said something this was also another thought last night. I've heard last night is Steve says America is also homophobic. Americans are also homophobic. Otherwise, Pete Buttigieg would be the choice. And there is a very strong consensus that there's a lot of people that want Pete to run and be president. He is probably the most educated and the most sophisticated way of being president, and he's young, and he has the face of a, what you would call it, a international leader. When you look at the prime ministers of different countries in Europe, and they all have that Buttigieg look, or that kind of Buttigieg can speak 5 languages. I think it's 5, maybe 6. The man is highly intelligent, smart as a whip, but they can't run him, even as a VP, because he's married to a man.
Right, and because they know that'll be the other fear, right? They'll make people fearful of that, right? And that's the problem. When you look at him whenever he goes up against anyone, whether he's on Fox News or whether he's testifying before this House of Representatives, that man holds his ground, and they can never refute anything he says.
No,
You know,
he is smart.
he's able to carry, because he's extremely smart, and he's not afraid of them. He's not afraid of them. He's prepared. And I think that if it were not for homophobia in this country, he would be the one, because people have been asking about him running for a long time. But
Yes.
when it comes to homophobia, misogyny, racism, all the isms out there.
This country is an ism
It's an
country.
ism country. And with people who, I've seen a lot of stuff online, and as we're talking, if you're still voting for Biden after that, but what choice do you have until they give us another
What choice do you have?
And so if we start thinking about, are we voting for understanding what presidents do? Let's, number one, start that. It's understanding how government works. So you need a House and a Senate. Your congressmen, your congressional representatives have to be in place to support any president. So even if you get with some of the stuff as going through Project 2025, you have to have a Congress in place that's going to do all these things.
That's right.
If that Congress is not in place that does anything, nobody gets anything done. And so if we put it in the context of how do we want to live, there's no option not to vote for me. That's not just an option. And I still say, do you want to live free in a democracy, or do you want to live under a dictatorship with total chaos, where they want to activate the military for anyone who speaks out?
Yes.
So that's what you have to decide. Trish said voting against crazy.
Oh, yeah, we got voting against crazy. But also, another thought, like I said, I've been up all night because I'm a political junkie. I'm a nerd in this way, and one of the commentators, and I love him. He was on Don Lemon's platform panel discussion, but he was also in a discussion last week as an interviewee, and he says, "We Americans have to be transactional. We have to think like the Republicans are. Right. We have to, as Democrats or independents, begin to think transactional. And we have to explain to our families and friends in a transactional way to vote. Meaning, if you care about women's health care, then that should be the reason why you vote. Because the other guy is not going to do it for you.
Right.
If you care about the black community and having police reform, if that is your transaction, find your one transaction and vote for your transaction, because the Republicans are not going to give you police reform. If you are someone that cares about climate change, if you really are passionate about climate change, and let that be your bandwagon, let that be your transaction vote. Your transaction vote is, I'm voting for Biden because he's the only one of the two that's going to sign legislation for climate change. And I'm going one more. If you are for this Israeli-Palestinian conflict, who do you think cares the most about the Palestinians? Most likely, Trump will never side to help the Palestinians. It is almost like 0 to none. But if you think you can get a percentage of help for the Palestinians, you'll probably want to vote for Biden if he's on the ticket. We as voters, especially the Democrats, need to move away from how people make you feel.
Right.
Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. He looks so crusty tonight. Or he looks this, or he looks that, or he's old. You need to figure out who can get you across the finish line,
right,
for your transactional vote.
And
I thought,
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah, and I think it's like one of the after you pass that, what did you hear him
Omar.
say? Hi, Omar. What did you hear him say? Like a lot of people can get past the visual or the fact that he stammers because he has whatever it is. A lot of people couldn't get past that, right? So what did he
Yes.
say? What has he done? What has he already proven to you that he's
Yes.
done? You know, where has he brought the realistically? Where has the economy come since? As he said last night, you left it. This man left it in a shambles. The economy
Yes.
was in a shambles, and I had to do. And so when I listen to people talk, I said maybe I listen to things differently. Maybe I actually
Yes.
listen because some people are already they're just looking at what they see and not what he's saying. He said, "I had to do something because you caused these problems. You left it in a shambles." How many people heard that
Yeah.
and not just look at how he looked?
I don't think a lot of people heard that message. I think a lot of people just saw the visual, and
Yes.
that's the problem with this whole situation. We know, as we're historians, we understand as the facts of what it was when Trump was president and all the BS that he was giving us with those 4 years, and then and what Biden had to unravel his first 90 days when he was as a president. It was a mess. Okay, there was
Inherited a
no
mess.
structure. I remember that there was not even a playbook that they couldn't even get from the previous administration. They had to start from scratch. So Biden, his cabinet, they did an amazing job just to right the ship, just to get us back to level. Okay, so I think a lot of Americans have forgotten all of that nonsense and all of the things that they had to do just to get us back to level. But here's the problem: we're not we're, 90% of America or 95% of Americans, they don't study. They just live on cliff notes. They just live on visuals. They just live on on the here and now and don't understand what we're fighting for. And so I'm sad. I'm literally was sad because here's
Mm.
a man whose heart is in the right place. His mind is probably still sharp as a tack, but the visual was what people are talking about. The first thing that was on CNN's after party, you know, was Democrats are scrambling. Democrats are scared. They got to do something about this. I mean, this is the president of the United States of the free world, you know, and so there's this panic going on automatically only because of the visuals. Okay, not the
Yeah.
fact.
Because they said he did for 90% of the questions, he did answer. Biden did answer. And as they say, now, like I said, I've been listening to lots of commentators, is that Trump, we know what it was to live in a Trump administration. No one should be fooled that it will be I mean, and those were the years with guardrails. Those were people that were in place to stop him from his impulses.
Hmm.
Then we are living right now in the Biden administration. And so much has been accomplished. And to all those people that want to get again, I always keep saying over and over again about Joe Biden. Joe Biden has passed more legislation, impossible legislation, in his 3 years than most presidents since LBJ. So you have to think about what has been accomplished. I mean, if you're getting internet in your rural area, that's because of Biden. The child, all the stuff that's gone, all of the list of, I posted it one time in the beginning of the year, the list of the accomplishments. They are long. While Trump is making all the noise over here, they're passing bill after bill after bill after bill. They just don't. Democrats'
Talk about it.
problem. They don't talk about it.
Yeah,
They've
they don't
done
communicate.
so much.
But they're not.
Go ahead, Mr.
It,
B.
it doesn't get the attention because it's not loud and vulgar,
Yes.
and that's what the media feeds on. It's not loud and vulgar. They've seen it. It's in the Washington Post, it's every place else, but it's not loud and vulgar, so it's not in places that people are listening and hearing. It's not
Yeah.
on social media. Every now and then you'll see Jeffries mention it, but it's not there. And I think that we have to look at things like, because one of the topics that he mentioned last night was Black Lives Matters, right?
Yes.
Well, guess who was the president at the time?
Yes.
That was not Biden. He forgot that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to be able to get away with that was crazy to me. Like, you get
Where's
away
my
with
Gwendolyn?
stuff about
Where's my
Portland, but
Gwendolyn?
you were the president when all of that was happening. You were the one with the upside down Bible. You were the one having the Black Lives Matter peaceful unarmed protesters, sprayed with tear gas. That was you. That wasn't Biden.
Yes.
You have an out of body experience and blame it on someone else. That's what the truth should have been told. You want to take credit for reducing insulin prices. That wasn't you. That was Biden.
That was Biden. And Biden also made a mistake by saying $15, but it was $35.
$35.
Yeah. So Brian is in the building. Mr. Brian Young, what you got to say, sir? I see you in the Mobile, as you always seem to be. That's your office these days.
Well, I forgot about. I was on my walk. I was in this park, and I needed to part of my
decompress.
Yeah. And not fall into, in my opinion, what a lot of, and y'all know me by now, I really try to watch my words, because I do believe words matter. Words have weight, unlike Convict Orange, who uses absolutes. I use a little when I feel like it applies to truly all of us. But I feel why I finished my walk is that I don't want to fall into what many sane or liberal leaning citizens do is panic, and we show our emotions. And it's like that adage of praise in public, criticize in private. The one thing I will give the Republicans or the Retrumplicans credit for is they knew Convict Orange. Nobody liked him internally, but they rode him like a freaking camel to get what they wanted. If they freaked out, and I'm in the middle of listening to Bob Woodward's audiobook, The Trump Tapes, and for those that don't know, Bob Woodward is part of the famous team of Woodward and Bernstein, who brought down the Nixon administration. And listening to Convict Orange and his voice, and this audiobook is starting right before he ran in 2016, all the way until he lost 2021. I give that as a reference for a couple of reasons, and why I am like, okay, a couple of things can be true at the same time. This is concerning, but this is not the end. I'd rather this happen now than like a month before the election. But yes. I bring all of this up because when Stormy Daniels, when Grab 'Em by the when that video and audio came out, that's when the party was having conversations. We need to drop this guy. They were vociferous in public. So I'm taking a page from that book, like, okay, this is concerning, but what can we do? We can work on a backup plan in the background and support him in the foreground. A couple of things that came to mind last night. One, what the bleep? This park is across from a church. I'm literally looking at the church cross right now, so I'm going to watch my swearitude. But what the bleep is wrong with our fellow American voting citizens with collective amnesia? Does anybody recall where they were when he was in office? We all know he lies. The collective amnesia, and literally in real time last night and up until this night, he keeps repeating and pounding these same, not mistruths, lies. Let's call them what they are. Lies that are factual. We can look at the tape, so we understand that he lies. But let's not fall into this collective amnesia, believing that, you know what, things were better during the 4 years of his administration. No, I've shared, and I know Elise knows this, and a couple others. I'll share it again. I lost over 14 freaking family members to COVID during that period. Listening to his voice, Convict Orange's voice, on this audio book from Bob Woodward, he knew, and he withheld that because it would make him feel.
Breaking up,
sir.
Effect. How many lives did that affect in our community, right? And so that's one, collective amnesia. Project 2025, a roll into that. Project 2025, it's already started.
Yep.
One of the things he did not acknowledge.
You got it. Your signal is breaking up, sir.
breaking up.
Mr. B.
Sorry,
your signal is breaking up.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's breaking up, so you got to get in a clear spot.
You're gonna have to drive somewhere.
Right.
You gotta drive to another spot. But also, so guys, think about while he's getting that cleared up. It is. What was I gonna say? And this is something that came up yesterday. Did you? I don't know if you heard about it. That was it. Arkansas. Did y'all hear about Arkansas?
I mean, Oklahoma.
About the. Oh, it was Oklahoma about the Bible.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
it was Oklahoma. It has passed. Is it a bill? Has it been passed?
Well, the state superintendent,
yes,
has said that's what they will do.
Oklahoma, and now that the Bible must be taught in public schools, now,
and colleges, the public universities too. So
this again, Project 2025 is happening right now.
Yeah. So I want to go back to when you were talking about things being transactional, right?
Yes.
So it's transactional, right? So the transaction is this for the GOP. We're gonna help you get there, but this is what you have to deliver. That's the transaction, pure and simple. You're gonna deliver what we've written down in this document. You're gonna put all of our people in place so we can continue to destroy this country, to destroy democracy. That's their transaction. And one of the things that Brian mentioned, we so busy, even as a people, as a collective of Black people, we tear each other down so much publicly that no one else has to do it. So as we talk about this in a public sense, we need to think about what is it how do we emphasize what's done? What I like was, did you all see that reel from Lincoln Project? They weren't sitting in there having some great conversation afterwards. They were putting up things to disputing what he said. They were posting his statement from the debate and the actual statements. And I think that it's great to go into the rooms and listen to all the pundits talk. But what did they put up? What did they show the visuals? Did they use videotapes to show him answer the question and then the video of what he actually did or said?
That's right.
I think even the Lincoln Project those are Republicans and they trying to stay their party. But at this point, they're like, we can't let this man be elected. And so they immediately put out rebuttals so that you can see his answer and the actual truth. And I think those things are effective because that's what people are listening to.
Yeah,
it's the constant battle. It's the constant battle where the narrative, whatever that narrative is, outweighs the truth. And so, on social media, on Facebook, I have obviously a diverse group of friends, followers, constituents and stuff, and I see those posts. I see those, Trump posts. I support. And it's a blind allegiance
Yes.
to idiocracy. It's a blind allegiance to, because he hit just a couple of bullet points that resonates with his base. There's this blind allegiance and mantra and cult following that the truth, when the truth is actually delivered, it's just kind of blocked.
Yeah.
We're just going to deflect the truth and we're going to live the lie. I don't know if that's divine. It's like there's a bigger scheme about all of it, but it's very frustrating because I'm an independent. So I just let everybody know I'm an independent. I've been an independent all my life. I've never sided it with any political party. And like Ron, I grew up pretty much Republican, and a Republican in my thinking, and then that split didn't happen until maybe 20 years ago for me. And but I am a moderate. I'm a moderate, and so there's not a whole lot. I think what both parties are trying to do, as we know, is trying to get those independent voters to side with them and to believe that side. So I'm on the fence, not me personally, but most of the people who are moderates or independents, they're on the fence and they're having to make a decision. What guy am I going to go with? They're both, to me, independent, don't look like they're fit for the job. One's a habitual liar, and one literally needs to sit down and retire. So
Yes.
what's the answer? And I'm just posing this to the panel. What's the in our group, our community? What's the answer to get that independent to vote right, vote truth? How do we change that visual, that narrative when you have these conversations? Because I believe it's almost like grassroots, where you're knocking on the door and you're talking to individuals in the coffee shop or in the supermarket and so on, because everybody's talking about it.
Right.
Everyone
Yes.
is talking about it. Everyone is hating, hating the debate on both sides. So what do you say? What should we do as we understand the information and the details and the ramifications of everything? But so many people live on the surface. They don't go that deep. They don't even go one level deep, let alone 2, 3, 4 levels deep. They don't even know what Project 2025 is.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do we do as a community, and connect with our neighbors, our church members, our community group leaders? How do we send that message? What is your ideas?
Elise, you want to take that, or you want me to start?
So, I mean, I can start. So a part of it is what I started doing when people say things to me is I go to what they did. I go to the record, right? I go to identifying those things that changed. Prior to the Biden getting them to lower the insulin price down to $35, these people were paying in excess of $1,200 to get a prescription to save their lives. And some of the most life-saving drugs, and that was for EpiPens and diabetes medication, were the highest things, and inhalers were the highest things price prescriptions on the market. And that's what they've been working to bring down. But I think it's a part of it is you have to find out first, what is it that they want? And then identify where that has taken place in the Biden administration, and where it didn't take place on the other side when he was there for those 4 years, right? So if we go back to, I know he was talking about the border. So first of all, the one thing, and I don't remember if Biden got to rebuttal on that, but you told your people on Capitol Hill not to support the border bill because you didn't want Biden to look good. That's right. What the man said out of it. He had them do. He told them not to vote for it, even though they worked on it to get it to what they wanted to say. And so that was their transaction, correct? So we have to also identify those things. But first, I think the biggest thing is when people have problems and they say, oh, Biden hadn't done. So what is it that you thought he was going to do? And then let's talk about what he's actually done. And then talk about what has to be in place for him to accomplish things. And people, what I've found over the last few years is that people do not understand how the government operates. They don't understand the different branches of government. And that when you're asking for certain laws to be put in place, there are things that the House has sitting so that he doesn't look good, right? They won't push it forward so that he can sign it. So it has to come through the House to the Senate and to the president. And I always make sure that people understand when you say Congress, that you're not just talking about the House, because I think a lot of people in their head only think about the House. But it's the House of Representatives, the Senate, that makes up what we call the Congress. Yeah. And most people don't understand that. And they don't understand as long as that House doesn't put anything, and this House has been the least productive House in years. If they don't put it out there, he cannot do everything by executive order.
So there lies the problem. You did an amazing job articulating the whole debate right there. You know, Biden just was not up to the task. So you have, I don't know how many, 30, 40, 60 million people who saw the debate yesterday. And he probably had those answers, obviously, because he's not a dummy. Obviously, he's a smart man, and he just wasn't able to react. And the rebuttals, the facts, and so on. He got baited into the tick for tack. When they got into the golf thing, it's like, what the heck?
I was like, what the heck is going on with the golf?
I got a 6 handicap. I'm like, I didn't really believe that. But he's like, that didn't make any sense to me, because I'm here. I need my president strong. Okay, I need my president sharp. I need my president. This is the man that holds the finger to the button. I know as someone that study, because I know that I'm taking the third, fourth level of things and understanding how things came to be. It started way back then, Right. And it took so much. I remember when the election, when Biden won the election, I said, it's probably going to take 10 years to undo everything that Trump has done. 10 years.
Right. What he's done the first time.
Yeah. I was minimum.
Yeah.
So he's kind of halfway through it. I'm just hurting a little bit, because I want the world to see the truth, and is yes or no, do you think the DNC, the Democratic Party, should consult with President Biden and say, you had a good run? And I think we want to carry your message. We understand the playbook, but we need someone who can fight through all of this. Because, again, what happens if we have the same situation with the Senate? Does he have the fight for that? What or Congress, which is a juggling mess. We don't even know what happens in Congress day to day. So what's the right decision? Because that third party candidate is just sitting back there and like, yeah, come on, keep it going. I'm going to get these votes because I got a buffoon over here, and I got someone who's not looking ready for the job.
So let me give us something to think about. And if they think about replacing him, I want us to think about this. What's the spin that the other side will do? Yeah. And say how, they're scared now, we beat them. And what impact would that have? That I think that's a
Well,
legitimate question.
that's a legitimate question. However, someone went again. I was all over the place last night.
Yes.
This
You were
gentleman
up late.
last night, he was so profound, and he literally on the spot created a speech for Biden to withdraw and to preserve his legacy, because there we go, Stephen, right? Stephen's going there. Ruth Bader
Biden.
Ruth Bader, she stayed too long.
She
And
did.
when when she had all those cancer problems and everything she was having, she was still going to the gym, she was still flexing, she was still working out, but she was at an age where democracy is on the line, and you cannot try to, who's more important, the country or you or your ego?
Right.
And for Biden, it would be an amazing step. He would do like a George Washington. Let's put it that way. It would be like, guys, I took you over the river. I got you to this place. I came out of my retirement as VP to become president, to help you overcome this threat, Donald Trump. And now I've done all I can. I passed legislation that has not been accomplished in decades. I was able to do this. I was able to do that. I was able to help. I gave you a Black woman for a Supreme Court justice. I gave you a Black VP. I gave you. This is what I did for you, the people of this country. However, I realize in myself that I cannot take you to the next level. So therefore, I cannot go to the next level. So I am going to step back, and I'm going to hand it over to this person. And we all together will join hands and go forward to make the United States the best country we can make it. Now, that was my paraphrase.
So that would be great. But one of the things that we see, what I saw today on social media,
yes,
the Democrats that are out there, you don't need to air how you feel. You need to go to him, but you making it public, right?
Yes.
They shouldn't have. You should be over there talking to him. You should be. You
Yes.
should have called. They should have called a conference with him this morning instead of.
They're probably doing it.
They're probably doing that right now.
Right
and they
now.
should. But you should have done that prior to answering any questions.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
and you shouldn't have put all that stuff out there. That's where they destroy themselves.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were just out there, like throwing their hands up in the air, especially on X and on TikTok, and people were just, you're talking about Congress people. We're talking about all the politicals were like, oh my gosh,
right.
I can't believe what's going on. We look so bad. And so we're dumb. We're dumb like that. We kind of.
Well, look, with the Democrats, the Democrats, let me just make it clear, the Democrats always eat their own. They eat their own. And the problem with the Democrats is that when they need to take a page from the Republicans on some things here. And one of those things is the Republicans, they stand by their man. They stand by him no matter what. He could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they will stand by their man. And if he can, like they said, like the gentleman Van said, he cannot lie enough, but they will still love him. He cannot create more havoc in our society, but they will still love him. He
and
can
that's
get
been
more
proven.
convictions, but they will still love him. He could get arrested and criminally, he could be placed in jail, and they will still love him, and they will not go and say one negative word about their king or
Absolutely,
their
and
president.
that's been proven, right? We see
Yeah,
it. We hear people talking about it. He's been 34 felony convictions, sexual assault, all these things, and
Impeached
they
twice.
still say it. Say that again, Omar.
And impeached twice. You
And
know,
impeached
impeached
twice. Yes.
twice.
I mean, who? That's the idiocracy of this whole thing, where we see the truth, we see what's going on in front of our eyes. This is not, you know, this is not, done in secret. This is not some sort of like we're going to hide this from the country. This is all in front of us, and yet as a collective, we cannot make a decisive decision on right and wrong. Half of the country voted for him. Half
Yeah,
of the
half.
country voted for him.
And half of them are with him now.
So that number is not going to change. That's the thing. That number, I don't think there's going to be like, oh, I'm going to switch now after all of that. Now after yesterday's debate, and even though it's the first debate and it's an early debate, it's going to be a long time when we get past that visual. I believe that to save this country, and we got to. I mean, I'm praying. I'm not. I mean, I'm praying. I'm serious. I got it. It's not. I'm just thinking about me. I got grandchildren.
Right.
I'm
That's
looking
right.
at my
The
grandchildren.
grandkids.
What is it? It's already we're already living in an environmental disaster. Okay, where we should have stopped doing stuff 20 years ago. Now we're paying the price. It's only going to get hotter. The weather's only going to get crazier, and that's just one aspect, of that. We need a leader that is willing that is strong enough to guide us through these tough times and be able to explain why we're in these tough times, because we're going to go through tough times. Okay, we're going to go through the to tighten up the belt. Inflation just didn't happen when Biden got into his presidency. It was brewing already. It was popping already. So, and then with the added fact of COVID, they talked about COVID, but Biden's rebuttal was very weak.
Yes.
You know,
All of the rebuttals were weak. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm like,
he was
dude,
not on his A game. And
yeah,
I don't think he had that ability to. And that's because he was sick. He had, the cold, but also that you can't blame the whole thing on because he was not mentally in a place to do the comeback. There was so many comeback moments that he could have.
Right.
As a debater, you have to be ready for the comeback and the shifting of the feel of the debate. You have to be able to respond to the debate. You have to, again, and I'll say this. Well, let me just go back to what Omar said about the hit this whole. This is our first debate of this year. And the good thing about it, though, is that it is early in the season. One. Number two, Americans have short memory spans. People don't understand. They don't remember anything. They might remember the visuals of this, but a lot of folks are just going to let it go. But we have to remember history. History. George Bush Sr., first debate, horrible headlines. But George Bush Jr., first debate, horrible on the second term, horrible. Obama, first debate in his going for the second term election, horrible. All of these guys, Bill Clinton, first debate, going for the second, horrible, bad headlines. So this is not out of the norm. Historically, the incumbent first debate is horrible. It's tradition in
Right.
America.
but we're dealing with
However, let me finish. The only thing different with this one is that the party has lost its legging in the response
Right.
of the incumbent losing the debate.
So let me
And
say,
that's
I
what's
want to
wrong.
go back to something that Omar said when he talked about leaders, right? Here's what this is just my thinking. What we're looking for as a leader, what the people who control the other side, as convict orange, as Brian called him, they're looking for someone to be led.
Yes.
We're looking for a leader. They're looking for someone to be led.
Yes.
To do their bidding.
Yep. He's a puppet.
Yes, and that's what they're looking for. That's the difference between what we do. We need him to lead us. Do we need to make sure that we support him too?
That's right.
How did we show up in 2 years ago? How did people show up 2 years ago in the midterm? The reason we have the House that we have now.
Yeah.
How did they show up in 2010 for Obama's midterm?
Yeah.
How did they show up? The reason that they were able to block the Supreme Court nominations because you didn't show up.
Yep.
How are we going to show up this year? And understanding that the House of Representatives comes up every 2 years, the entire House is up for re-election every
That's
2
right.
years. Well, 2026. If we get through this and we are on top, 2026, we got to show up just as big as we did before. Every
That's
time
right.
we failed, and I don't say I voted. All of us are here voted, but people have failed. The ones who criticize the most, have failed to show up for the midterm so that they have the support. If people showed up 2 years ago for this midterm, you wouldn't have this House that's a wreck now.
Yes.
Because you showed up, but you're not showing up. So people in states that are now seeing craziness go on, Louisiana, 600,000 registered black voters didn't show up. So you got the crazy government that you have, and you mad? That's not a federal issue. That's not a Biden issue. These things that are going on in the states, people have to realize that's not a presidential issue. That's your state issue.
That's your state.
But your problem is you didn't show up.
That's right.
You got to show up.
As we close out, I know Brian's going to say something, but I want to just shift to this thought. Since we did say, what are we going to do as we end and close out? Newsom said, and I love it, worry less and do more.
Right.
Worry less and do more. It is all of our jobs, independents, Republicans, Democrats, that believe in democracy. It is up to us. It is up to all of us to worry less and to do more. How do we do more? What we're doing here today. We use our platforms to share truth. We use our platforms to share about Project 2025. We use our platforms to talk about all the accomplishments of the Democrats. We use our platforms to share. And I am truly believe in the transactional vote, because that is how the Republicans do it. It is all about transactional. The Heritage Foundation, they don't love Trump. They detest him, but they know he is a camel to get them to the right spot. He's a mule to get them to where they need to go.
He can be led.
He's a mule. As the Russians say, he's a useful fool.
Wow.
And they are using him to get what they want. The Heritage Foundation, who has been working on this for 40 years. Let's not think it just happened. This has been going on for 40 years, and they finally got their useful fool to harness what they want. But it's up to us to keep sharing with our family members. Like, again, if they don't like Biden because of the way he looks, and if Biden's still going to be in it, then we all need to be in it with him. And we need to be saying, what is it that you want accomplished in 2025, 26, 27, for your grandkids, for your great grandkids? What do you want? What's your transactional vote? We need to bring it home. And like someone said, don't say, oh, Biden, Trump is a bad person. You can't vote against him because you got to vote against him because he's horrible. No, you need to start voting because of your transaction. What is it that you need and that Biden can only give you, or the Democrats? Go ahead, baby, Mr. Brian.
You guys are saying, hopefully I'm in front of a Starbucks now. I'm on their Wi-Fi. Hopefully it doesn't work. But you guys are saying a lot of things that I constantly repeat. Don't look at this as personal. Like what's that saying? Get in our feels. Your feelings are legitimate, but Republicans, they disconnect that stuff and they go transactional. A couple of things that come to mind. I often say, make it plain. Make it plain. I've said ad nauseum, I've read Project 2025 front to back. Elise has read. If you cannot stomach that document, it took me several months to read that. I'm in the middle of listening to Bob Woodward's audiobook. And this is just nerdy stuff that I do. I'm on the Supreme Court's emailer. So when their decisions come down, like the one that I feel is getting overshadowed yesterday because everybody's looking out for the one on whether Convict Orange has, blanketed,
Right.
but we're missing.
Uh-oh. He's frozen again.
They're still implementing.
Got it.
Oh, don't tell me.
You were frozen, but
just make it plain. Make it plain to people.
Yes.
The last time Elise and I talked, was that a couple of days ago? I mentioned that within my own family, I would assume in many others, I've got a relative who is Latino. She's here legally. She's an American citizen. She's from Mexico. Her family's back there. She voted for this cat and I've been working on her because a lot of our family has turned its back. I'm meeting her where she is. I'm like, so you are still of birthing ability, right? And yeah. Well, according to Fox News, I said, do me a favor, watch CNN for a day. I slow rolled her to watching MSNBC. Now she has felt so much guilt and shame. I'm not holding that up to her. I'm like, what are you going to do now? We cannot change the past. What are you going to do now? You want to bring your family here legally. If this cat gets back in office. So my point is making it plain to anybody in your circle. If Pookie and Ray Ray on the block are like, man, he ain't done nothing for me, but he gave me that stimmy. Like, no, he didn't. No, excuse me. No, he didn't. Break that down, make it plain. What the one that I feel impacts many of us. Do you have a female? Do you have a woman in your life? Not necessarily romantic or anything, but is there a woman in your life that you care about? Do you have a daughter? Do you have a sister? Do you have an aunt? Nobody on this planet, in my opinion, should be telling somebody else what to do with their health care, with their body. And if you think it's going to stop there, it's not. And every now and then, Ron, when you have these, I just put in the chat a lot of Supreme Court precedents that we should be on alert about. They're doing it. I put in Lawrence v. Texas, Obergefell versus Hodges. Those two right there, for anybody in here who is either within the LGBTQ plus community or love somebody who is in that community. Both of those precedents, I think Lawrence v. Texas goes back to 1965, stating that it is not basically it's saying being gay is not homosexual, or excuse me, being gay is not illegal. Being of homosexuality. These cats are looking at overturning that, making same-sex marriage criminalized.
Yeah.
Look.
Okay, but I want to bring it in now. We're gonna have to land this plane. We gotta land this plane
Ron,
because we got to let folks go. They get back to work.
Oh my God, yeah.
So Ron, the last thing, don't forget that Clarence Thomas has brought up Brown versus Board of Education.
Yes.
So let's not forget that. We just need to get out that vote. Ask people when they say what they're not sure what they're gonna do. What do you want? And show them if it's already been done or it's being done. Whatever it is, we got to show people the facts.
Show them the facts. And again, we need to worry less. Be concerned. Know what's going on. But we need to worry less and do more. What can we do to make the truth so plain and out there for folks that they know, okay, you know what? I may not like Biden, but I like democracy. I don't like, I may not like the way he talks, but I love democracy. I may not like that he's old, but I love democracy. And on that note, guys, I'm gonna have to let you guys go. Fifi, we wish you could have came on. And don't feel like just because there's 4 squares here that's a limit. We could have 10 squares up here. So we could have the Brady Bunch. We could have 6, 8, and come on.
Ron, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, you can.
One thing. As we support, as we put out information, if we're going to put things in our stories or on our reels, do not repost people who are talking nonsense, who are doing double talk. Do not repost. And I don't want to call out their names, but I will. But I'm trying to. This is your platform. I'm trying to keep it okay for you. Don't repost some of these quote unquote Black celebrities who are out there saying all kinds of craziness about.
Let them go.
Just repost the facts, what's happening, what we need, and what's already being done. Don't repost. And I don't even like their post anymore because I don't want to give them any power because they're just going for clickbait.
That's right.
We have got to stay focused on where we're going.
And speak truth and tell truth and speak truth to the power.
Right.
And on that note, guys, we are out of here. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Elise, for being a part of the panel today. And thank you for Fifi for trying to get on. She was trying her best, but she did give her statements inside the chat. And so let's really come in and really go in and do the things that we need to do. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. I'll probably be on tomorrow on the move somewhere. I got a couple of places I'll be this weekend. In New York, we're having the Spike Lee block party coming up on Sunday. So I'll probably be live on Sunday, which I normally am not. But we have a block party on Sunday with Spike Lee celebrating Do the Right Thing. I think it is. That's what we're doing. Do the Right Thing. That's what we're doing this Sunday.
I'll be in New York.
What time is that, Ron?
It's going to be from 12 to 6 p.m. I think pretty much here in New York City in Bed-Stuy.
I'll be in New York. I'll see you there, Ron.
Are you gonna wait? Elise, you coming to New York?
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to have are we going to our donut spot?
Oh, absolutely.
We're gonna do our donuts.
That's not right,
y'all.
Excited.
I'm so excited.
I don't do donuts anymore.
And remember to watch Gwendolyn and I tonight at 5:00 Eastern, 4:00 Central.
Yes. Gwendolyn and Elise are on tonight. Make sure, is it Listen Up Girl? Is it Listen Girl? Oh, Listen Girl. But listen, make sure you follow. Gwendolyn, could you put it in the... First of all, I'm mad at Gwendolyn. She didn't pop on. Anyway.
She was in the chat.
She's somewhere. She's just hanging out in the chat.
Can I make a plug?
Yeah, go ahead, plug, buddy.
Surprise for Elise. I'm gonna have an art therapy this Sunday. It's closing out Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have one this Sunday. I have no idea what I'm gonna be sketching on. I don't know if I'm gonna be sketching or just sketching and talking. Elise is my partner in crime on that. And if you're able to hop in, I know you're gonna be chilling with Spike and Ron, but I haven't posted it yet, but It'll be this Sunday evening, maybe about 9:30.
Okay.
And yeah, just people tune in. I haven't done one in a while. I often get questions about the various projects that I've sketched on, the Mothers of the Movement, my Bugatti sketches. But we'll just see. It's not, yeah, we'll see. But tune in Sunday, 9:30ish, art therapy.
Well, since
Gotcha.
everybody else is plugging something.
Yes, Omar, share your, because you got an event coming on this weekend in Texas.
Tomorrow I have my Olympian photography lighting workshop. So if you're in Texas, North Texas, the Dallas area, we still have space. In fact, as soon as I leave, we disconnect, I got to go look at the venue. But we actually have an Olympian athlete who's already been to Olympics twice, and he's going again. He is ranked number 3 in the world in the decathlete. So so we're really excited about working with him as our featured model, and then the rest of the week I'm working. So what else is new?
Well, that's good. See, all of us are busy. That is great. Busy is good. And we are making a difference in our communities. And that's what's awesome. So, guys, again, thank you so much. And yes, Gwendolyn said she's got some content recording today. So that's why she wasn't here with us. But again, she said, Lord bless, because she knows me. Girl, listen. Y'all listen to that. That's going to have Elise on this evening. I cannot wait to check it out and support my 2 wonderful ladies. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Later, folks, and have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you when I see you. And life, what is it? Live life. And
live life, not just exist.
That's right.
Living life,
live life like you mean it, and focus on what matters.
Right, on purpose.
Okay, guys, I'm out. Love you all.
Peace out.